everyone. My name is Shubham. I am from India. I am 24 years old. I have completed my graduation in electronics and telecommunication engineering. I remember in my childhood, when I was around 5 years old, I was mostly fluent and spoke spontaneously. As a kid, I was shy and sensitive, but when I turned 6 years old, I remember sometimes I had minor issues while speaking. I used to mumble on words sometimes while speaking, and I used to mispronounce some of them. First, my parents noticed this. After that, they always used to tell me to speak clearly and pronounce words properly. I started to believe that my speech is defective. I wanted to do something to make my articulation better. I became more and more conscious of my speech flaws. I refrained from speaking more and spoke only when needed and didn't much open up to anyone. I used to hold back and hesitated to speak with anyone, especially with strangers and people who were elder to me. An unpleasant shift happened in my childhood when I was in third grade, when all my friends in my colony had shifted to a different city. And for the major part of my childhood, I was alone without much of a social life. I barely communicated with anyone except my family. Also, during that time, I had to change my school as there were many instances of bullying and fights in which I used to get injured by the seniors. I was deeply hurt and wanted to change my school. My parents did my admission in another school after that, but this change to a completely new environment filled me with anxiety and nervousness. And I already had developed an inferiority complex about my speech and personality. I feared speaking with my new teachers and classmates. Then I started to have difficulty while speaking, even in normal situations. I started experiencing blocks in my speech out of nowhere. The blocks used to come and go situationally, but soon they became frequent. My speech gradually turned into a full-blown stuttering problem. I remember that the most daunting task was to read a passage in front of the whole class. I used to feel embarrassed and somehow hoped that the teacher doesn't point at me and ask me to speak. When the teacher was taking attendance roll number and my turn came of saying present, it was a big nightmare for me. Because of my abnormal speech and face movements while stuttering, my speech was often made fun of whenever I stuttered badly. So I got into a habit of avoidance, which made the problems even worse. When I was in sixth grade, I decided to do something about my speech. And now I have to overcome this problem. So I went to a speech therapist with my father. I joined the therapy sessions. The therapist gave me a slow prolongation and reading exercises. I practiced it, but it didn't help me to reduce my stuttering. Instead of that, I got more anxious and thought about my stutter fears even more. My speech sounded unnatural. After I finished my school, my stuttering problem became a roadblock in my life. I had to compromise on many opportunities, and I was not able to do what I wanted. My inferiority complex grew, which caused my speech problem to worsen throughout my college and engineering days. I had a hard time introducing myself, and I often used to skip the first lecture to avoid the introduction sessions. Then, in my first year of engineering, I didn't want to go to college. I was desperate to find a cure for stuttering and desired to become fluent. I searched for various books and videos on internet to help myself. I found some books which were helpful, but it didn't give me a reliable concrete plan to work upon. I thought that if I didn't cure this impediment now, then I couldn't achieve what I want in my life. I looked for the best speech therapist when I was in the second year of my engineering. I found one speech therapist who was well known. So I started taking therapy from him. He gave me some good breathing exercises and then asked me to read by taking a breath in my belly and slowly articulate while releasing the breath. While this was helpful to some extent in improving my breath holding capacity, but I found that this therapy was too expensive and the methods didn't help beat the main issue of dealing with fears of stuttering. So I left the therapy midway as it was not working out. Then in May 2017, during third year of engineering, I found Coach Lee's book on Amazon. It was the second edition and I read it completely. There were many good, genuine reviews of it online. So I thought I would give it a try by following the steps given in the book religiously. This book filled me with positivity and confidence. Each word of the book resonated with me, and it immediately gave me a hope that I can self-cure myself and become a fluent speaker. The book improved my speech as I understood concept of Lee's methods, but I found it hard in understanding some of the crutches. I wanted a practical demonstration, so I wrote an email to Coach Lee requesting him for a Skype session. Lee, even in his busy schedule, accepted my request with a big heart, and we began Skyping in December 2017. After a few sessions with Coach Lee, my speech showed significant improvement and is improving day by day. In these 4 months, my stuttering incidences have been dramatically reduced and come to a negligible low. I rarely think about stuttering now. I knew if I continued following the steps, I would become a PWSS soon. Then in June 2020, Coach Lee asked SSC speech coach Prathusha to coach me so I can expedite my self-cure. Prathusha immediately contacted me and we decided to do sessions once a week on Saturdays. I was amazed to see that in the first session itself, she ignited a spark of enthusiasm and confidence in me. She brought the best out of me and I became Shubham 2.0. She further pushed me to keep upgrading to a better version of myself. I followed all her homework sincerely. She helped me whenever I had any doubt or any difficulty. After 3 sessions, I had learned the way to speak and use the crutches effectively and had 0 bad incidences, which was a great achievement. On the 4th session, I was informed by her that I am no longer a PWS and I have become a PWSS. I was extremely happy to hear this and was grateful to both Prathusha and Coach Lee for helping me reach this level where I am no longer detected as a stutterer. It brought a new freedom where I am free to speak when I want, what I want without any fear. Now I have started to love to speak. I know this battle is not over yet, and I would have to do my ASTs and use crutches every day, no matter how fluent I get, as these are the perfect tools one can master to improve not just one's speech, but one's whole personality, thus making one's life better in every aspect. I would like to thank Coach Lee and Prathusha from the bottom of my heart for taking out time from their busy schedule and constantly encouraging me to love to speak in every situation and help me bury what the Lee calls the Satan stuttering deeper to a place where it wouldn't bother me now. I can truly say now that stuttering has turned into a blessing for me